This is your December 2023 soul story. If you have a sun rising or your moon is in the sign, this might resonate. It's Romy. Thanks for joining me for our final soul story of the year. Appreciate all your support this last 12 months. And we're going to open up this month with the energy of the Wheel of Fortune for you. And you are determined to do things differently this month, and that somehow seems to open this portal, a series of doors where synchronicity and fate all align. And, you know, this attitude and approach of wanting things to be different is what somehow represents all that you've been through and how you've changed. And I think your mantra through the month of December is, you know, because I can. And that's really the only permission that you need to offer up, because as these opportunities come in, and sometimes in the most unexpected, surprising ways, and certainly the most unexpected time, you need to be in a position where you are open to receive, and you just give yourself the chance to explore and be curious about what that might mean. Because the thing is, the dynamics are changing all around you. And there's a certain part of you, I think, that's sort of waiting to see, you know, where you're going to be positioned following that. But there's something about the need for you to just go out and decide for yourself. You know, this is how I want to show up. This is the way in which I want to live my life. This is the position that I'm taking. And I think you will surprise yourself in December, in as much as you will feel more able to cope and to navigate what previously may have felt like some insurmountable situations. And you will continue to notice, I think, what you're trying to run from. And that in and of itself is going to give you so much information with which to work with in December, because the overall feeling is that we have this undercurrent of healing. And all of the astrological conversations that are coming through are directing you towards making peace, finding acceptance, and really resolving to acknowledge like what you've been through, you know, not trying to avoid it or run away from it. And it doesn't mean that we have to like it or even feel like we want to endure it, but there's something about the necessity to kind of not carry forward a lot of what may feel like more heavy resistant experiences into the new year. Your Ace of Swords is cutting through an awful lot of like the chaos, the frenzy, and I think more than any other year you'll definitely find yourself being able to detach from the mass energy consumerism and sort of void-like experience that this frenetic season can sometimes descend upon us. I think putting things into context, there's a much deeper requirement for you to just be really clear about what's important and what matters. And you know, your heart is a bridge between worlds this month, and I think that you're focused, as we all are, around like, where do we find compassion, where do we find peace, where do we find that energy that allows us close to home to be able to build bridges or draw the line and kind of, you know, really clear things up as much as we can. Because, you know, where we may feel disempowered in the bigger picture, there are always ways that we can act and thoughts that we can think that come in the right vibration that's going to be supportive, not just for us, but for the collective. Now, Venus will be in Scorpio, your 7th house, from the 4th of the month. And the need for truth, transparency, and authenticity is absolutely front and center stage with Venus in this sign. There's a kind of reinvention experience going on, perhaps in some of the closer relationships. And that's what I'm saying, like the dynamics feel like they're changing. And, you know, I think this month for you, Taurus, is about self-reflection, but also self-correction as you wisely decide what you are and aren't willing to share and what is and isn't necessary to convey and to express. Now, Neptune will also station direct on the 6th of the month, and we're able to, I think, along with that Wheel of Fortune, just really see where perhaps some of the ideas, the dreams, the creative visions that, you know, haven't really quite transpired in the way you expected or anticipated, get a new lease of life. So there might be adjustments that you want to make, returning to a vision, new information that comes through that now supports a different way to still go after these things, because it's not about having to let go of anything that still burns brightly within your heart. Now, you don't have to have it all solved in a day. There are powerful stories that are still unfolding in very natural and organic ways. And I think this is the important thing to come to appreciate about December. You know, there's part of you that will want to have it all tied up neatly in a bow so that you can feel like you're starting the new year with a completely fresh slate. And yet, you know, there's always that transition and that sort of crossover period that's going to take place. So some of the ideas starting to make more sense. And what can be helpful for you is to realize that, you know, where there's potential, where you see potential, where you feel potential in different areas. But there's also that sort of limitation that says, oh, it's never quite the right time to explore it. December actually asks you to make time and space for it, because it's going to lead you by the hand and show you, says the King of Wands. It's going to ignite something within you and say, you know what, like, given the opportunity to recognize that potential and to say yes, where it can lead you is to this master vision, this master energy, this fire that's going to create a whole different experience for you over the course of the next few months and into 2024. And sometimes it's okay to live without clear answers around all aspects of this. Yeah, we just need to experience how the energy is showing up for you today and not outsource the things that are super precious to you. So we're going to have the new moon in Sagittarius arrive on the 12th, which of course is the 12-12 portal. And it comes in at 20 degrees. And we also have some unexpected news by way of Uranus on that new moon in Sagittarius. And again, the deliverance feels like this King of Wands. So perhaps a key character or a person in your storyline in December. Part of this Uranus energy, for me, is this Wheel of Fortune for you. What is coming in that's very unexpected? And it's like, okay, you may or may not have been asking for this, but nonetheless, it's something that's destined and fated for you. So where do you stand with this? You know, are you gonna let it in? Are you gonna go after it, or are you gonna let the I should do this, I should do that, you know, overtake kind of what the heart is really asking of you? And, you know, I think around this time, there's something very transcendent in as much as like you're realizing the impermanence of so much of your life, of you as an individual having this earthly experience right now. And I think that gives you, in some ways, the courage to be present and purposeful in December and really make sure that the choices and decisions that you're making are super aligned for you. And I think that's going to be very clear to people around you, again, in your determination to sort of do things differently, and really support, I think, people understanding a little bit clearer where you're coming from. So if you've been experiencing that as a challenge of the last few weeks, I think you manage effectively, again, to be able to build that bridge. And at a time, you know, where we definitely have tricky situations and sensitive scenarios that, you know, arise for all of us at this time of year for one reason or another. Now, the other thing to bear in mind is on the 12th, with that new moon in Sagittarius, Mercury stations retrograde, our final one of the year. What we have is a slowing down. So that can be helpful as we contemplate and process the kind of closing ceremony for the year. And we really allow, perhaps where that vice-like grip has been really anchored in some areas of your life, to start to dissolve. And again, we find peace. But of course, on a more practical level, Mercury can interfere with some travel plans, particularly as well if you're purchasing things online, especially with the technology piece. Just make sure you do that nice and early, because you might come into some challenges, shall we say, or the need to be a little bit flexible or have a plan B and C and maybe even D as you move toward the holiday season. The Four of Swords also tells me that, we're still grieving something. We're still coming to terms with something. And, that can be layered. That will be very much on a collective. But it will also drill right down to something that's deeply personal for you as well. And I think what we can expect with the healing energies that are activated through December is just you being given the time and space that you need to just have the moments of stillness. And as we approach into the solstice portal and the sun shifts into Capricorn and we have this beautiful moment of celestial stillness, we celebrate the seasonal shift and change. It's a time for you to sort of allow this transition to take place in your life as well. And what's really nice about this year, in the last couple of years, right on and over the holiday season, we've had some more tricky astrological conversations playing out that have been a bit more tense and a bit more hostile. This year on the 25th, we have Venus trining with Neptune, and it just feels what is offered is wanted. And, this does seem to me to be a month where there are a convoy of gifts that are showing up. I don't mean materialistically, I mean spiritually, emotionally, energetically. And so this will definitely help to smooth any turbulent waters or any experiences that have been difficult for you. And, even if you're still having to navigate those waters and be in situations that are difficult for you, at least you have that more supportive vibe that's kind of continuing to enable, if you like, a more harmonious exchange, or at least the de-escalation of where words and behaviours can sometimes unravel out of control very quickly. We also have the full moon in Cancer arriving on the 26th. And remember, this is actually the second full moon in Cancer of this year. The last one we had on January the 6th. So if you can think back to what was going on as you came into the beginning of last year. Now this moon is sextile to Jupiter, trining with Saturn. And it's also going to welcome the wounded healer planet Chiron stationing direct. And so what we have here is a reminder, if you like, at what was revealed and what was released back on January 6th being sort of amplified again, this time in the context of, how much you've changed, what you've been through, and helping you to solidify, to draw a line, or perhaps to further amplify a specific feeling or emotion. And remember, Cancerian themes are going to be very much about your sense of security. It'll also touch on your ambition here as we see the 8 of Coins being highlighted. There is that powerful cardinal energy, that drive that Cancerian energy can bring forth for us. And so that full moon incredibly healing and supportive for initiating and instigating something. And, you may be sort of a little bit lost in the moment and not fully realizing or appreciating that the work and the investment that you've made is ultimately going to deliver more freedom and is actually, with this doorway, this portal, and the figure almost looks identical to the Wheel of Fortune, the very thing that's also creating opportunity for you. So don't underestimate the power of that moon, the healing of that moon, and the ways in which you can harness and direct that to sort of help close out the year, but also set you up really in a way that you know where you want to direct and invest your energy, okay? Don't work too hard. Obviously this is a time of year where we're slowing down and we're wrapping up and we may be finishing work early and all these things, but I still see there's this kind of determinism from you that's like, I want to just finish this or get this done or, but just give yourself that time. The balance will be important so that you can celebrate the steps and how powerful they now seem to be as they have all strung themselves together and actually shown the path that you've created for yourself. And, we have to give ourselves a chance to do that when we're in this month because, it just helps to resolve and bring the energy all into sort of like the right order, if you like. Venus and Mars are both shifting into Sagittarius. And so again, we've got this gusto and drive happening toward the end of the month. We also have Jupiter stationing direct, and I always feel there's a gift that arrives in the days around that happening. Again, not necessarily materially, although it could be with Jupiter and Taurus, but it's really about the awareness, the evolution of your understanding, and how that marks as this powerful sea change for you. It also helps you to appreciate and decide, what do I truly want to devote to? Whom do I want to devote to? And where am I coming from? Is my energy rooted in love or fear? Because this is a time for me to stay on track, but not only to stay on track, but also to start to get a little bit bolder and more visionary. Sagittarius helping you with that. And so as you kind of make peace with this closing out of the month, High Priestess says, the information that you've been given, the downloads that are being activated, the way you're trusting yourself in those last few days of the year are everything. They're everything. Because they kind of demonstrate that you've understood, you've sort of learnt the lesson, if you like. And as I said, you will surprise yourself in your ability to cope and to navigate. And you're definitely showing me here an energy of more peacefulness, rather than getting caught up in any huge dramas or intensities. It's not that they're not going to be necessarily going on around you, but you still have that opportunity to say, I don't have to pick a side here. I can stand for something completely different. And perhaps that change of stance is about the betterment of me, the betterment of you, of all of us, of, wanting to see things improve. And I think that the kind of attitude that you bring, if you like, towards that period through the second half of December is going to surprise you in ways that it's sort of like, gosh, I never felt that this type of a expression of my energy was so available to me. Sometimes we're so responsive and reactionary, and it just feels like a very different experience for you in December. And perhaps, the environment when you're most challenged with it as well. Yeah, because there's always so much going on, and there's so much sort of triggering that can take place for all of the reasons that happen at this time of year. If you're new to the channel, our last 3 cards, Taurus, we cover in the extended version of the reading. I'll talk for another 30 minutes or so, and we'll go deeper into this month. We'll also look at a personal question, a relationship card, and we're going to give you a quick preview of a major arcana for your year ahead in 2024. So I hope you will join me. The links are in the comment and description box underneath. I'm just going to go ahead and clarify these cards, see which messages are going to be emerging for us to tap into. Now this month, my soul journeys, I've created a really beautiful closing ceremony for the year that will really help you to make peace with the energies. I've also put together a guided journey with a whole series of affirmations. So if you find this time of year particularly tricky, especially where family or loved ones, or perhaps, feeling into scarcity, or the loss. So these affirmations will be powerful and a way to just, again, kind of support you on that journey that you're walking through December. Okay, what do we have here? Judgment, 6 of Cups, 5 of Cups. We've got the Empress, the World, beautiful. All the decks I use are always listed. There's that star, lovely. Magician, 4 of Cups. Okay, so let's have a look at some oracles for your extended reading as well, Taurus. This is Life Soul Vision, my own deck. If you're new to the channel, please check out my sacred titles, the book and the deck. Beautiful gifts for you or loved ones, but again, just be mindful of that Mercury retrograde and make sure you put in any orders nice and early to avoid disappointment on any potential shipping delays. Okay, we've got the Sun charged in light. We have Spirit Crane, Dance with the Divine, the Wishing Tree, Throat energy. Solstice, beautiful. Detours from the divine. Okay. All right, let's pull a couple more, see what wants to come through for Taurus for December. Medicine Mother, honor your inner knowing. Beautiful. And finally, we have telling stories. What words so tender can be spoken so bravely unless they are true from the truest of words? We will look into these more in your extended. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful month of December. Stay safe. May it bring you peace and healing. Thank you for all your support this year, and I will see you again in 2024.